So everybody knows that there's a lot of hi-fi hacks, tips and tricks, things that make using your hi-fi system easier, more pleasant, more worthwhile experience, basically makes it easier, right? Several of those hacks I featured on my channel over the years, but I haven't featured this one, and so anyway, let's take a look at it. Now, of course, this is the Yamaha RX V480. Vintage stereo receiver, Yamaha made in the early 90s. The great thing about a lot of vintage receivers, amplifiers from this period, but also prior, is of course there was a volume indicator. You can see there's a little white painted mark here, so that from a distance, this thing's sitting under your TV or on a hi-fi rack or something, and you're 7, 8, 10 feet away, you can see at a glance where the volume is, right? The problem is, of course, a lot of modern integrated amps do not have that. Of course, this is the AS301, and it doesn't have anything. So at a distance, I'm sitting on my couch, I can't see where the volume is, right? So of course, adding a mark to a volume control dial isn't necessarily anything new. A lot of people have done it, but a lot of times they'll use tape and they'll use other items that a lot of times will leave marks and residue and damage basically over time the volume control and damage the finish. What I use is a little bit different. I use an envelope, and specifically this is the type of envelope that when you lick it and then you close it up. And what I use is the lick part. So let me show you. So what you do is you get you some scissors, you basically cut that top section off. Unfortunately, this process is slightly wasteful, but it is what it is. Luckily, envelopes aren't terribly expensive. So you cut you off a section, and of course one side is going to have a perfectly straight edge. And what I do is I usually just cut right along that glued section, which you might be able to see, maybe the little sheen of it there. And what I will do is cut a perfectly straight piece, probably about 3, maybe 4 millimeters wide. There we go. Actually, that's probably a little too thick, but we'll roll with it. And I don't want it super long because I think that kind of looks weird. So I'll cut it down a little bit. And yeah, there's our piece. Of course, we've got our piece. I'm going to moisten it just with, with my spit. Of course, you can use water or whatever you want. But yeah, now that we've got it nice and moistened, I'm going to stick it above that little hash mark, or I should say right on top, where the volume control is. Just put it right on top and kind of press and hold it for just a couple of seconds to kind of let the heat of your hand or your finger kind of dry that liquid out a little bit and help it adhere. And yeah, there you go. So yeah, as you can see, quite effective. And as I said before, the nice thing about this, because of the type of adhesive on those envelopes, you put this on, it won't leave any sort of residue, it won't leave a mark or damage the finish of the volume knob over time. Matter of fact, I've done this and left it for 2-3 years and came back and just peeled it right off, and there was absolutely nothing. And by the way, I'm going to be doing an upcoming video talking about new Yamaha versus old Yamaha. So we're going to talk about sound quality and kind of differences and build quality and all of those things. So yeah, stay tuned for that.